Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDO 44 coming into another video. All right. So the Lakers are fresh off a horrible loss again against the Boston Celtics, and we're sitting here trying to figure out, how best to uh, react to everything that we saw, even further than, of course, what has already been said. I went on a rampage basically about small ball and how I didn't appreciate Darvin Ham's rotations per usual. But something that really stood out um, at the end of the game that was pointed out by one of the fans. I haven't seen any footage of it, so I'm just rolling by what was said. And I ain't gonna go into a tangent about it because I haven't seen it, but I do have something to say about it overall, so you'll understand what I mean. But it was said that Russell Westbrook was smiling as we walked off the court from that loss. Now, initially, my normal thought is to go in and say, "Oh, he's so happy when we lose," but that's not the vibe. That's not the vibe my mind went to. I reflected back on something I said on this camera twice when trying to assess how to feel about Russell Westbrook um, chasing stats rather than trying so hard to be efficient on winning and doing things properly down the stretch of basketball games to ensure we win basketball games. And I know some of that stuff he's trying his very best. He's putting his body on the line and all of that, but it just seems like he's more focused on doing his individual stuff from a statistical standpoint rather than to more so cater than to the overall rhythm of a win. So as I sit back and I reflect on several other times where he walked off the court seeming to be happy when we lost, I think about all the different things that could be there in regards to what to see. And one thing I remember saying was, I don't know what he knows. That's what I said once on this camera. I don't know what it is he believes, whether he thinks these games are so rigged that it doesn't even make any sense to try to play for wins anymore. I think that that's one of the variables that I look at and I say, and after him walking off the court tonight and having hearing that he was smiling, it just made me think like that could have been one of them smiles where you say, "See, this is why I do what I do. This is exactly why everybody believes in this and really some WWE stuff." And I've been telling people all year long about how I felt this game this season, particularly this season. They really tweaked the rules to inflate the numbers, and I just think the emphasis is on betting, sports betting. And I think, I got theories. Maybe they're trying to recoup for all that took place financially over the last several years, which makes sense. But to me, it just seems like you're compromising the overall art of what it is we're seeing, and it's going to have poor historical ramifications for the players who are playing now, because people are going to look at this era, they're going to see that y'all were doing that, and they're going to judge the players' performance based on the other eras that didn't have this happen. And I think people are starting to see what I'm seeing. When you look at a game like tonight, you see LeBron James on the floor defeated, not because he was outplayed by the other team, but because he was clearly hit on the arm. Everyone in the arena saw it, and he didn't get the whistle. And he's played more minutes in this league than anyone else. He's about to break the biggest unbreakable record this game has in less than 116 points. And they couldn't give him his call? You know what I mean? It's just like, how much of this should we believe in? How much should we be telling kids to go to the NBA and when you get there, play to win, because that's what it's about? When we clearly get a sense that there's something compromised about the product itself in regards to the competition. You can't tell me the Boston Celtics walk off the floor believing that this game wasn't handed to them. I can't be convinced of that. When they see the fouls that were called or not called down the stretch of the game, when they look at some of the foul calls that they received, they know that this game was handed to them. And it's just one of those situations where you say, with Russell Westbrook, if he believed in the overall competition within the league, maybe he would do things differently. If he thought that it would actually cater to something, maybe he would be more intent on winning or doing what it takes to win. If he thought the product itself wasn't compromise so much that it didn't even make no sense to do so. This is what comes to mind when I watch him play, which is why I only know but to get so upset or what have you. I always leave room for stuff like this because it's always a variable. You can always get caught off guard by stuff like this. So I always try to keep it in the back of my mind, like, yeah, it could be all that other stuff, but it also could be something like this. And like, let's be honest, we've already seen the NBA catch one of its referees, and more or less, dude said he wasn't alone in regards to what he was doing, and they haven't caught anyone else. So I don't know what else to say other than it has to be more to look at. When you look at games like tonight, you can't feel good about how this looks in that way. And it's just the overall season that we've had. You have too many other games just like it. This is just one game, but I think it's going to be one of the ones you pay the most attention to because who's involved in the teams themselves, the rivalry. You know, you just can't ignore that the NBA continues to come out with these after the fact statements that they've missed a call or that the referees did miss a call. They'll acknowledge it, but it doesn't affect anything at all after they've made this mistake that I can see. Do they give you the win? Ever? Never. The loss still counts. And so my thing is, what do I need that statement for at all? You're the NBA. You got it wrong. You're telling us you got it wrong, but you're not going to do anything about it? You know, and tonight we saw the one of the NBA rules kind of just betray itself because we won a challenge, but then because we lost that challenge, there was another questionable call that we needed to challenge that we could not challenge. So it's like we got the challenge right though. Should we not get the challenge back so that when the next one gets done incorrectly, we would have an opportunity to look at it as well? Shouldn't that be in place if everything is on the up and up? Why would you even have an environment in place for which it wouldn't? And see, these type of things, it's like, all right, man. All right. I'm not supposed to see that NBA. I'm not supposed to see that. It's one of those type of things. It's like, all right. So I just dumb it down and just say, ooh, that was a great game. Thanks to the players for giving us all they had and throwing their bodies on the line, WWE style. It's nonsense, man. This is nonsense. And that's why I have to readjust my thinking. I look at a guy like Zach LaVine who's trying to get his contract traded to the Lakers, and I'm like, why not? Why not? If it ain't really about competition, then why shouldn't a guy like that try to get a bag with the Bulls and then get it traded to the Lakers so he can live a lavish life of stats? Why not? That's what it's about, right? What's the point of competition? When it's really, the scale is truly about how much money you can make and where you can position yourself to enjoy your life in the league, right? Ain't that the name of the game? I mean, it ain't about winning. Surely ain't about winning championships. That's a popularity contest. It's like the All-Star game. Seems to me it's a popularity contest because the bottom line is they're going to give the calls to who they want to give it to, and that's going to determine how far a person gets in the playoffs in the end. Who's getting the calls, who's making the free throws. I don't know, man. I'm just at a space where I'm like, I enjoy the league. I still believe in the sport because I know this ain't going to last. This is just a bad era. Still got to study the sport, still got to watch it evolve, still got to enjoy the talent playing it, but I just think that this regime is in the middle of doing what it is that they want to do, and it just looks watered down. And it's really watered down. And I think most fans feel the same way. Those of us who are old enough to watch the game, I'm trying to discipline myself to understand the difference between not being able to evolve with the game. Say these are the new times. You're just an old man. Like that's a real thing, versus something just not being good quality. You know what I mean? I'm having the same thing happen with music too, because I'm listening to music and I know my ear is growing with the sound, but some of these songs are just not well done. So I'm like, the sound is, I know what you're trying to do, but just like music of the past done that way, it just ain't a good version of what it is. And so I have an ear for certain music that's younger music, but you listen to some album cuts and you know it's not good, but you're like, am I tripping? Am I just an old man? It's like, maybe. I don't know. How can I tell? This is sort of like that. And so as I look at the situation, I just say, man, I don't know. I want to see a league that doesn't have, scores that are 65-60. I don't want to go back to those days. I'm not asking them to do that or to have it so that guys have bloody, noses and stuff, and no calls are being called at all, and we're just cool with that. Nah, I'm looking for a balance, somewhere, a sweet medium. I'm not saying we got to get away from everything that we're doing. It just can't necessarily be this, and so they have to keep tweaking it. And most importantly, they're gonna have to figure out what to do with their officiating situation. I'm not really sure if the officials are doing a good job or a bad job at all, because of based on how things are being interpreted in the rules. But I know tonight is not the greatest example of that to be at all. Bad stuff happened tonight no matter how you interpret the rules. But I just think in general, when you zoom out at the season, it's like how much of this is compromise versus how much of this is what they want. And so that's where it becomes a thing where, like, I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. But whatever the case may be, I know that Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum, and looking at how it's going with these teams this year versus the Lakers, it just seems like they've been featured. And it hasn't just been the referees, it hasn't just been the competition. It's a lot of different things that have played into that. And the officiating is just one of them. So I don't know all of what I'm seeing, but I know it comes together to make some sense. And at the end of the day, they're trying to control what it is they're trying to control in regards to sports betting. Whatever's necessary to control so that they can have that as cohesive as possible is what we're seeing here. And it's unfortunate for those of us who really love the NBA. So that's my thought on it, man. I hope that we can get to a point where the players believe in the league again, so that they don't have to forego their own evolution within the sport that they love just to be a part of what it is that they do professionally in the States. I think this could have a very, very bad reverberation across Olympic competition. When you start running our guys who are used to this inflated nonsense against guys who are really studying the sport and kind of using old principles, particularly principles that we've forgotten about in regards to closing basketball games. They're studying the Kobe's, they're studying the Magics, they're studying the Michaels while we're doing this. And they're going to beat us because of it. And I'm telling you, it ain't going to matter how much of an athlete you have. If some of those athletes are from those countries, you're going to be going up against Giannis, you're going to be going up against Wembanyama, and they're going to be running better stuff. I see that coming. And it's going to be this era's fault. Because they're going to be trying to get certain calls that are going to be found in the NBA that you're not going to get in international play. Stuff that we're used to over here that is just not real basketball at all. I see it coming. And that's when they're going to realize, we're taking steps backwards. We got to fix this. Hopefully somebody hears me and just skips that altogether and just fix it now. But that's not how that works. You know why? Because this is working. It's making people money. They're going to lose money with the Olympics, and that's when they're going to understand that this shouldn't have been done this way. They got to make this money in the meantime. I already know how that works. But The players got to suffer it. The fans got to suffer it. We're going to pay into it because we want to see the competition regardless, but it's not authentic. These guys probably would beat each other in different ways if not for this in the middle of it. Whoever you think is better, however that went, it's like, nah, that's not what it really would have happened if those refs would have got out the way and this would have played on a Saturday afternoon at Venice. It'd have went different. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I want the NBA competition to be transferable to any court in the nation. Rules are going to be different. I get that. But I want to know that the Knicks could beat the Celtics in Madison Square Garden, at Boston Garden, at Venice Beach, at the Rucker. You see what I'm saying? Everywhere. It should not be they were able to win because it was within the NBA confines. And because they were on the floor with the NBA, therefore, these teams are better. No, it shouldn't be like that. Because when you compare these dudes against these guys historically, that ain't how they go. So it shouldn't be like that amongst their own competition in their own era. And that's why it's really not good for the sport. I tell you, that's the greatest indictment against it. They want to weigh themselves against the best, but they can't display it. That's where it all falls apart. And I've been telling y'all this all season long. This has been a running conversation, but this game's really opening people's eyes in a different way. And so, like I've been saying, the players are going to have to fight against this. The ones who benefit from it are going to have to fight against this. Haven't we said that before in other areas of life? You benefit from it, but it ain't good for us all. You got to fight against it because of that very thing. It ain't going to zoom out very well. So, this ain't nothing new if you follow me, man. I appreciate everybody who rocks with BDF44. You know what I mean? I'm definitely into this basketball thing. When you lose a game against the Celtics, you're going to feel extra emphatic. But I think I was more emotional, so to speak, after the San Antonio loss. Or win, because it felt like a loss to me because of the things we were doing, which I knew would cater to this type of thing. Small ball, us losing. And it was just what frustrated me, I guess, about the San Antonio game was that we had the option to do other things, and we just chose to do the wrong thing. And sure enough, that is exactly what carried over here. And I'm like, wondering how many losses is enough before we understand that things are going to have to change. And when they change, will we have enough time to fix it? Because we've seen this movie before. You barely make the play-in tournament. You know, and it's like, if we do have any control over wins and losses, if everything I just said for the last 17 minutes isn't the case and there really is competition here, then we got to assume that we've been dropping games we shouldn't drop. Regardless if it comes down to a missed call or not, we got to control the things we can control, and we certainly can't focus so much on the things that were outside of our control that we don't remember that we had opportunities to keep the score out of reach. If the score was out of reach like it should have been, it wouldn't have mattered how many times they went to the line, because we would have been taking care of the ball, taking care of possessions, and making sure it didn't matter. There were opportunities. We did things wrong. And so that's really what I chose to focus on. And the referees needed a lot more attention, but I think they got it from other people. And as I told you guys, if you watch my pregame video, this is what I predicted. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. This was the arena for it to happen. This was ABC, Boston, Lakers on the road. I mean, it's Jason Tatum MVP season, caliber season. Boston Celtics have the best record. The Lakers have the worst, one of the worst records. Anthony Davis on minutes restriction. I mean, all this stuff just polished itself for them to say, okay, let's do something weird today and just give the Celtics an opportunity to get a really big win. It looked like that. So I prepared all of us for that. That's why I didn't give it much credence. It's like, oh yeah, they did what I said I thought they would do. This is exactly what I thought they would do. I would have been one of those players out there that wouldn't even reacted to any of that, because that would have been what I thought they would have done. I would have been shocked if they called calls like, for me today. That's Jason Tatum. I ain't getting no calls today. Stop playing. That's how I would have acted if I was a player, because that's how real I thought the fix would have been in. several hours before the game even started. So this is what it is, man. This is how you have to condition yourself if you're a player. That's why I always say LeBron can't be messing up the latency of the play. Don't be talking to referees and messing up the defense. For what? This is what's required in this league. For all I know, that's part of it. They want you to stay back there talking to them so they can continue to give points to the other team. How many technicals did they offer up the Celtics tonight? Technicals that they called after guys getting frustrated off of calls that they shouldn't have missed. That situation with Dennis Schroeder on Jason Tatum, called a foul on him when he was trying not to foul the man. He ran all the way down there and to keep from fouling him. He ran all the way down there, did every motion that would otherwise show you that he's not fouling. Because if he wants to foul, he's going to wrap him up. But I guess they called the bump, the ever so slight bump. But they don't call LeBron James hack on the arm down the stretch of the basketball game. That would have sent him to the line to ice it. That would have sent him to the line to ice it with .4 to go. They couldn't call that. But Dennis Schroeder running down there to not foul Jason Tatum, they call that, and then Dennis Schroeder falls on the floor because he's upset at the call, and they call it technical. More points. They're not fixing nothing though, but that's an extra point. They didn't have to call that technical. He's upset at you for calling something garbage. He didn't even throw anything or nothing. He just dropped to the floor, and they called a T. Donaghy style, man. So I'm just sitting back relaxed as a fan because when you see things you expect to see, it's only so angry you can get. I expected the refs to act like that. I expected Darvin to act like that. I expected the Boston Celtics to play like that. And so here we are. Even if you watch my halftime video, you know that I was saying we were up, but the score was closer than it felt. I wasn't too happy about what we were doing because it didn't feel like we were winning. We were going up against a team that wins. They got the best record in the league. They know how to close these type of games that we don't know how to close. So if it's close enough, they're going to win it. They're going to for sure close you out. You're bad at that. They're good at that at the end. And that's exactly what we saw. And this was a bad night for the Celtics. Malcolm Brogdon balled out. Of course, their stars got their big numbers, but they shot horribly. If you look at how they shot worse than us. So, the referees get a lot of credit. I'm going to give them the game ball. Since I forgot to give a game ball to anyone in the first reaction, I'll give them the game ball now. The officials, they really, really shine tonight. And I hope that in shining, they get the magnifying glass that they deserve to have put on them. For whatever it is that they're up to, they'll be seen since they're shining. Superstar referees, that's what I used to call them when I was a kid. But it was usually because they had these big personalities. They don't have referees like that no more. They sit in the shadows. Back then, them dudes was big as Shaq personalities. Like, they going out there dancing when they call and stuff. Running around, calling technicals on people for staring at them. Just weird stuff, man. Having sound bites at the end of their games, talking crazy. A lot of those guys are out of the league. But now they got these dudes, new guys, that don't do the job really that well. We ain't got them superstar referees who were great at what they did, but just had to be stars themselves. Now we got these young guys who don't really know what they're doing, and on top of that, they got rules that are ever changing because the NBA is constantly tweaking stuff every year. So anything you get good at, they got to remaster, and it's just impossible. Second year, third year refs, it's impossible. And this is what I believe we're looking at as well. So that's why they need to find some continuity. Maybe even revert back to old rules so it'll be easier to teach. I don't know, but some of the stuff they're doing is just it's too many changes, and now we're stuck in a place where more changes are definitely needed. That's the thing. Now we're in a space where they gotta tweak some stuff, because if they leave it the way it is right now, it's just gonna be a less. You know what? To be honest with you, if they keep the score up, I don't know what it morphs into. If they keep running the score up the way that they are, I don't know. I really don't know. You know, I would love to say it's going to be the worst thing ever or the best. I don't know. But what I can tell you is defensive principles, they're going to be lost. Guys are going to be less and less likely to want to play defense and more likely to want to exert energy on the offensive end. And like I said, I don't think that helps you in international play. That's when I think it really, really becomes a thing. Half court offensive principles can start going away. I don't know. Guys already don't know how to play with their back against the basket. Guys barely know how to shoot over people smaller than them in certain situations. It's like we got to be careful. Got 7-footers settling for 3-point shots when they got guards in front of them. It's just like, nah. Yeah, I got to be very careful if you're going to go up against some of these emerging markets who are learning the game. That's what I think it really does. The NBA is going to just score and score and score and score, but you're just not going to be as talented or as smart on the court as some of these guys from other countries. So that's what I think it turns out to be, as I've said before. So that's what it is, man. That's my thought. I'll go back and listen to this, see if I can come up with even more ideas in regards to just how to cope with all that this Boston Celtics matchup has given us this season, both this game and the last one. Games that we know we should have won. And I don't know if that encourages us to think that we can still beat some of these teams if we just do some things a little bit better. And Anthony Davis is obviously going to play better. It's a lot of things that you could say. We can have this matchup 2 weeks from now and beat this team. But the problem is we don't. We lost both matchups against them, and that's it. Our rivals get full-fledged bragging rights, and they got the deserving right to, because they have a better team. And they beat us in close games when we beat ourselves, most importantly. So it was a lot pointed against us. Obviously, their referees had a lot to do with that, and much is going to be said about that. So that's what I got to say, man. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.